I'm the most dangerous type of a sexual predator. I never want to be let out. I will kill. I am the type that needs to be locked up forever.
Okay, hi guys, my name is Shelby and welcome to Voice for the Vanished.
How can I forget you, girl, when there is always something there to remind me?
This time, little 9-year-old Shelby met a man. I was at my neighbor's house with two kids, one who was my age, a boy, and just for the sake of privacy reasons, we're going to call him Tyler. And a little girl who's 4 years younger than me, and for the sake of privacy again, I'm just going to call her Casey. So at the time, me and Tyler were 9, and little Casey was just 5. She was just 5. Around that. I don't know the exact month, so we could be in between there, but... So basically, I was hanging out with them at their house, and a man walked in as a lot of people came in and out of their house, and, hung out with their parents, and all of them were a little bit sketchy, but besides the point, this man walked in. I had never seen him before. By their reactions, I had assumed that they had seen him before, and he asked where their parents were at, and they said they're not here right now. Now, I had been over when another friend had come over when their parents were home, and they said they were going to blah, blah, blah's house in the neighborhood and to let them know that they stopped by. Well, I mean, if you have other friends in the neighborhood, you can wait for them to return home and go hang out with the other friends, and they can meet you there. So when they said that they weren't home, I assumed he would leave, but he didn't. 9-year-old Shelby had massive anxiety, as she does now, and did not like him. I got a weird vibe from all of them, but he gave me a very weird vibe because he stayed and because he kept talking to us and asking us questions about what we were doing and what our days were like. I mean, yeah, maybe he was just being nice, but I got a weird vibe. I got a weird feeling, and I remember leaving not soon thereafter and going home and telling my mom that there was a weird freaking guy at their house. She just told me to stay safe, stay outside on the porch or at our house. So I think I ended up going back outside, and I saw him outside with their parents and was fine. And I remember talking to Tyler and Casey and them not really being concerned. They were just like, oh, it's one of our parents' friends, he's nice, whatever. So I was like, I'm crazy a little bit. We didn't know anything about him or that he was who he was, and he did what he did, but let me continue with the story in chronological order. This is honestly terrifying, but after much consideration, I thought that doing face cam for this video was the best option. But in all honesty, it will probably be my last face cam video because I don't really see the point in doing it for the rest of my videos. But this one is kind of my story too. I want to do this in the most respectful way to the victims and everyone involved. So I'm going to be telling the story in the best way that I can. So while this is kind of my crazy, weird story, it's not about me. It is about the families and the victims. So like I do in my other videos, I'm going to be telling their stories in a very similar way and just letting you guys in on my experiences with the serial killer. I've obviously never done anything like this, so I don't know the best way to go about it and situate my video, but I'm gonna really try, and hopefully the story and their stories come across. Also, since I'm not used to face cam, I'm not used to memorizing all the details, so I have them to the screen next to me if you guys see me looking over. Hopefully it's not too obvious, but I'm gonna try my best. So I'm gonna try and tell the story in chronological order in the way that they happened when they happened, so in 2009 and 2010. But I don't know the exact months of my experiences with the serial killer. So I'm just going to kind of fill them in approximately when I think they occurred. I know when one occurred because of a certain injury, but I don't know exactly when the other ones occurred, so just keep that in mind. So our story starts off with 14-year-old Amber Dubois from Escondido, California. She loved animals her entire life. She was very, very into animals and animal activism. She just loved every single animal in the whole entire universe. She was a jokester and had many, many friends, but would rather stay home and read a book than go to the mall and go shopping with them. Always smirking. She would tease her father, her biological father, about his receding hairline all the time and would just mess with him. They had a really good relationship, and I called him her bio father because she also had a stepfather who was in her life named Dave. Amber and her stepdad Dave did not always get along, but they had better days and then worse days. According to Dave, actually the night before February 13th, they had talked it all out and were moving past it. So they were doing a lot better in their relationship. According to him, they also went shopping together and bonded and just had a real experience. And I just want to say that just because the stepfather did have a bad relationship with Amber in the beginning does not mean he did anything or he's a bad person. I think anyone who has step parents and knew their biological parents or are still in touch and constantly see their biological parents and then also have step parents are going to have a difficult time because it's weird, it's different, it's changed. No one likes that. Amber's life since she was 4, so it's not like he came along when she was at 10 or 12 when she's having these awkward times in her life. He's been around, but her dad was also in her life constantly, so a step-parent figure is always very confusing for any kid. 14-year-old Amber Dubois was waiting for February 13th, 2009 to come along because it was a day she was so excited for, a day she was counting down until she was going to get a pet lamb from school for a school project, and it was going to be a little baby lamb that she was going to take care of and raise, essentially. And this is a very popular thing in high school, public high schools, I guess. And she loved animals, like I said, so this was something so important to her. And so on the morning of, she was up and ready to go to school very early. Dave was also getting ready for work, and about 4 times did Amber come in his room trying to remind him about the check, asking for the check, and he kept telling her, you know, I'm getting dressed, I'll do it before you leave, I'll do it before I leave, because she would end up leaving after him. And he was just like, it's okay, Amber, like, I'll get it, just chill out, kid, you know. When he finished getting dressed, he went downstairs and saw Amber sitting on the floor watching TV, eating cereal, the check on the kitchen table, and put it on the couch next to her, and told her he loved her and walked out for work. So Dave left the house on his way to work and assumed Amber would be heading off to school soon after, as she always did. But as time would tell, she would never be seen at school or seen by anyone other than her killer alive again. So I think Dave came home from work and Amber was usually there. She should be there according to like the times and everything, and she just wasn't. So Dave called the school, or called her teacher actually, and she did not show up to school. Some people said that they had seen Amber in front of the school. So they had seen her at school in the, corridor in the front of it, like she had just gotten there, but never went in. This is not like Amber at all. She loved school, got good grades, was excited for her lamb. What the heck forced her to not go to school and not get her lamb? So Dave started panicking and called her mom, Carrie. So Amber was last seen on her floor watching TV, eating cereal, so excited to go get her baby lamb, and her stepfather walked out of the door and is the last one to see her. Now, a stepfather or any male figure in a girl's life who is abducted or goes missing is immediately questioned. Anyone close to her actually is immediately questioned. Anyone who lives with her, immediately questioned. But the last person to see anyone who goes missing, highly questioned. So obviously Dave was a suspect pretty soon thereof, and was immediately cooperative with the police. He wanted to find his daughter. It is his stepdaughter, but he saw her as his daughter. So when referring to him, I'm going to say Dave. After telling Amber's mom, they immediately went to the police, and the police were immediately on the case as the details were very, very sketchy and did not lead to a runaway at all. The little town of Escondido, which again is a city in the San Diego County, knew Amber, knew her name, knew her face, knew her story almost immediately. Something like this had never happened. And when a case happens in your small town, it's all you can talk about. It's all you can remember, and forever you will remember that case. You will remember her face. Not just everyone in Escondido, everyone in San Diego knew her face. Something like this just wasn't, like, it blows your mind. People are obsessed with following missing person cases, which is good. Exposure is key. This is kind of where my story comes in. I was 9 at the time, and living in San Diego, you see her face everywhere. I remember selling Girl Scout cookies and having someone come up in their truck, and their whole entire truck was just plastered with missing person flyers for Amber. We knew her face, like we all did, especially me. Some of my friends were kind of scared of watching news. It made them scared, and I was just like, I remember looking at my mom and being like, that's Amber, like that's the missing girl. I was 9, and I don't remember who he was. I don't know if he was connected to the family. I wish I could remember. For some reason, my memories want to tell me that it was like a neighbor or a friend of the family, which it probably was, but I don't remember correctly. And it was just another moment where I was like, wow, this girl is missing. And she's 14, like I'm 9, but she was just a kid too. The day after Amber went missing, there were already over 500 volunteers searching on foot over 200 miles. And absolutely nothing was found of Amber. Nothing was found of Amber. Not a single trace of Amber Dubois was found. 6 months go by, long, excruciating months, with no sign of Amber, no sign of where she went, or if she's even okay. Amber's mother, Carrie, hires cadaver dogs to hunt for Amber in August of 2009, and they specialized in cold cases. These dogs were very trained and very, very intelligent. They were able to track her scents on where she would have walked to school, and then they lost it, picking it up again in the Paula Indian Reservation. I believe they did some searches there but couldn't find anything, but it's also a very large area of land. On December 27th, 2009, which is actually my 10th birthday, a University of Colorado student was on her Christmas break named Candace Moncayo. Candace Moncayo was attacked while hiking on the same exact trail. Was attacked while jogging on a trail near Lake Hodges, which is in San Diego. He grabbed Candace and started to attack her. She did not know if he was trying to sexually assault her or kill her or rob her. She just knew she had to get away. She survived. She was able to get away from a monster attacking her by taking her elbow and hitting him in the nose. Her dad is a world champion kickboxer, I believe. So obviously probably got that from her dad, luckily, and was able to fight him. And he, I think, was taken back by the hit and went to grab his nose because she hit his nose pretty hard. And he grabbed his nose and crouched down in shock about everything, and she booked it and was able to save. I again don't know the exact date, but it's easy to say that it was soon after he attacked Candace Moncayo. From my memories, I was with Tyler and Casey again, and we were playing some sort of game on the floor. He walked in with a pretty badly bruised nose and something over it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember something being over it. I was already freaked out by him, and I saw that on his face, and I was just like, minding my own business, continue playing the game. But little Casey, being the child she was, asked him about it. And I'll never forget his face when he said it. He said he walked in or ran into something, and I don't remember exactly what he said. I just remember his face. I can see him standing in the doorway of that house, laughing, when the little 5-year-old asked him, "What happened to your nose?" I can hear her asking him that, and I can hear his laugh. On February 25th, 2010, almost exactly a year after Amber went missing, an honor student, 17-year-old Chelsea King, disappeared, which again is in the greater San Diego area, and literally vanished without a trace on her run, which is terrifying. Her car was found in the Rancho Bernardo Community Center, which is, I believe, where they believed that she had parked, so no one had, touched her car. It was only 10 miles from where Amber originally disappeared, and, it's in San Diego within a year, almost exactly a year after it happened, and Amber still hasn't been found. Everyone's going to automatically think they're connected. Amber's mother's immediate reaction was to go and help the Chelsea King family search for Chelsea and how they feel. So they came together the very next day. The entire Amber Dubois family was out there searching with 3,000 flyers, hundreds of volunteers, searching everywhere, telling everyone about Chelsea King. There were grid searches, air searches, everything. Police ended up finding Chelsea's underwear and socks on the running trail and did not tell the public about it for a while to keep the integrity of the case and to keep people searching, to keep people talking about Chelsea. DNA tested the underwear and found the DNA of this man. The man I knew. I also saw him at another point, and this memory makes me want to puke more than the others. So it was little Casey's birthday again, the 6-year-old, and I don't remember exactly when this happened. I believe I had met him before, but I don't know if it was before or after the nose. I'm gonna say it's before, just because of the time gap. But he basically, we were having her party at Chuck E. Cheese, and he drove little Casey's family because they didn't have a car at the time, and I remember him holding the door open for me, and I put my arm out to hold it open for him, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm not coming in," and I was kind of like, "Well, that's strange, like you drove all the way over here but aren't coming." It was just a little strange, and I told my mom again, and she was like, "Ugh, he's weird, don't worry about it, Shelby." The truth being that he was a convicted sex offender. He had been convicted in 2000 of raping a 13-year-old neighbor. He was in prison for about 5 years because of it. 2008. He was on probation at the time of Amber and Chelsea's disappearances. If this case does not show you how little time child molesters get, it blows my mind. What if he was in there longer? What if he wasn't in there? What if he was in there in 2009 and 2010? He did complete his parole in 2008, but had many violations of parole, literally tallying up to 170. How the hell? He was tracked to different prisons, schools, daycare centers, and remote areas. 5 days after Chelsea went missing on March 2nd, 2010, her remains were found buried in a shallow grave, not far from where her clothes had been found. She had been attacked, sexually assaulted, and strangled to death. 17-year-old Chelsea King, beautiful young woman who had her whole life ahead of her, had her life ended because of a sick person just not knowing how to control that. Because of the absolutely horrific murder and assault of Chelsea King and the assault on Candice Moncayo, he was headed for pretty certain death. And the court, with the approval of the King family, offered him a deal, which I think was the most kind thing they could do during this time. I mean, I can't imagine how hard this was for them, but they decided to allow the court to offer John Gardner the plea that they would not pursue the death penalty if he led them to Amber Dubois' remains. And they just wanted answers. They wanted an ending. They wanted closure. John did something smart and decided to help them. He took the plea, led them to Amber's body, and was not pursued the death penalty. The following evening, after offering him the deal, the police found the partial remains of 14-year-old Amber Dubois 13 months after her disappearance. She was assaulted and then stabbed. I believe her remains were only partially found because they were disfigured by wild animals. As far as I can find, I don't believe that he did anything to her body after the fact, but they ended up finding her full remains, and it was only about 5 miles from where the cadaver dogs took them 6 months after her original disappearance, which absolutely kills me. They were so close and didn't even know it. You know, I have other memories with him, but they aren't as persistent and they're not as stand out in my mind. But I do remember one time I was hanging out in their bedroom actually with Tyler, and Casey was asleep, and he walked in and he was like, "Hi, Shelby." Like, he knew my name, he knew their names, obviously, and she was asleep on the bed, and I was like sitting on the bed, and she would always sleep with her eyes open. Terrifying. You're supposed to like close them. But basically he walked in and was like, "Whoa, that's weird. Like, why is she sleeping with her eyes open?" And he like went to like touch her eyes to like close them or wake her up. I'm not really sure. And her brother was like, "Hey, don't do that." And he was like, "You're supposed to close their eyes." And I was like, "It's fine. I'll do it." And Tyler just kind of looked at me and I did it. And then he was like, "Oh, whatever." And I think he cussed or something and walked out. I think he walked out for the rest of the day. I didn't see him again, as far as I can remember. But the fact that I saw him, the fact that I spoke to him and saw his broken, fricked up nose, all while he had killed and abused Amber Dubois, Candice, and Chelsea, breaks my heart. The fact that I was next to that man, the fact that that man knew my name, the fact that I saw his face and didn't know what he had done, breaks my heart. There was no way for me to know, but I feel like I should have. On May 14th, 2010, Judge David Danielson sentenced Gardner to life imprisonment with no possibility of parole, 2 terms of life imprisonment without parole for the murder and rape of Chelsea King and Amber Dubois, another term of 25 years to life for the assault with attempt to commit rape, and an additional 24 years of imprisonment for prior convictions. Since he entered the plea agreement, Gardner waived his right to appeal at Mule Creek State Prison, where he will remain until the day that he dies, which he thinks will be good for him. He says that he wants to die, but that is an interview from 2010, and it's been 9 years since then, almost 10, and he's still alive. There's an updated photo of him, but that's even from a while ago. He looks a little bit different. So while my story is a little bit crazy and a little bit terrifying, it is not as terrifying, obviously, as Amber, Chelsea, Candice, their entire family stories. I just wanted to bring light to their cases and tell you guys my only real personal experience with anything like this. And Maybe if you guys don't always enjoy missing person cases, but you enjoy something like this, maybe this will introduce you to my channel. Maybe this is the first video you've seen of me. I make missing person videos. You don't always have to see this ugly face. I do voiceovers, and I do current, old, anything missing person cases. I post as often as I can. Sometimes it's every day, and sometimes it's a little less, and help search for those people. So if this video introduced you to my channel, I would be very, very grateful if you guys could subscribe. I do missing person cases. They're voiceovers. I do new cases, old cases, absolutely any case. If someone recommends a missing person case to me, I will always cover it. But I mostly get my cases just from online. Facebook is pretty popular. I just want to get all the information I can on any case and put it into one place so that if people find my videos, they have all the information they need. I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this crazy, terrible, heartbreaking story, and I hope you can check out my other videos. They all are very, very important. And hey guys, editing Shelby here. I filmed for about 4 hours and ended up editing for about 4.5 hours, and it's been a lot because the research took about 2.5 hours. So I just wanted to make sure I got everything, but the video ended up being super long, so I cut out some parts that weren't as important and just made sure I had all the details out there. So hopefully the story came across well enough. I'm sorry if a couple little details were left out. I didn't want to have to put out an hour-long video of my face. I don't think you guys would have liked that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I know this is very different, but hopefully you stick around for more. Love you guys.